Imagine opening your code editor, right? But instead of just a blank screen, you've got a senior AI software engineer sitting literally right next to you. And we're not just talking about a basic chatbot that answers general questions. We're talking about an AI that completely understands your entire project, down to the very last file. An AI that can write code, fix bugs, run terminal commands, and build out complete applications from just a simple text prompt. Now, you might be thinking, okay, that sounds completely like science fiction. And honestly, you're not alone. But here's the thing, it's actually not fiction. It's a reality called Cursor AI. Here in 2026, Cursor isn't just some experimental side tool. It is a massive paradigm shift that's fundamentally changing how software is built. Whether you're a student writing your very first app or a senior enterprise engineer, this is a shift you really cannot afford to ignore. And trust me, the industry agrees. As of early 2026, Cursor just crossed over 1 million daily active users. It recently hit a mind-blowing $29.3 billion valuation, generating over $1 billion in annualized revenue. Developers are literally abandoning their traditional setups at a breakneck pace. So why exactly is this happening? Well, for today's explainer, here is what we are going to cover. 1. What is Cursor AI? 2. Codebase indexing. 3. The features that change everything. 4. Cursor versus GitHub Copilot. And 5. Pricing, privacy, and limitations. All right, let's jump straight into part 1. What is Cursor AI, the AI native paradigm shift? So simply put, Cursor is an AI-powered code editor, but it's built as a fork of Visual Studio Code. What that means for you is that the transition is completely seamless. All your familiar extensions, your custom themes, your key bindings, they all carry over perfectly. But here's where things get completely different. Traditional editors like VS Code, they rely on bolt-on AI extensions, which are constrained by older APIs that were really never designed for artificial intelligence. Cursor, on the other hand, is AI native. It actually embeds AI directly into the editor's core, accessing your abstract syntax tree and your file system so it can help you think, build, and debug natively. Moving right along to section 2, codebase indexing, under the hood. Okay, imagine walking into a massive library looking for one specific book. Without a catalog, you'd be scanning shelves all day, right? But with a catalog, you find it in seconds. That's what Cursor does. It builds an intelligent catalog for your entire project using a local vector database. It scans your codebase, vectorizes chunks of code into these little mathematical fingerprints, and stores them locally. So when you ask a question, it matches your query's fingerprint to your code in mere milliseconds. There is absolutely no more blind guessing. But how does this actually feel when you're coding? Well, one developer from our source material put it perfectly, noting that feeling of AI finally understands my project was incredible. By simply typing @codebase in the chat, you instantly give the AI your entire project's context. Let's say you have a bug spanning your API, data, and UI layers. Cursor will find all the relevant files across thousands of lines of code and pinpoint the exact issue. It is literally context on demand. Which brings us to section 3, features that change everything. The 5 killer capabilities. Feature number 1 is AI chat and @mentions. Think of this as ChatGPT seamlessly integrated into your editor, but one that actually knows your files, your framework docs, and your specific bugs. Feature number 2 is predictive code generation. Cursor doesn't just fill in text, it actually predicts your next cursor position. If you change a variable name, it instantly jumps your focus to the next place that variable is used, giving you this super rapid tab workflow. And feature 3 is smart debugging. Instead of losing hours staring at a cryptic stack trace, you just hit Command K, ask, why is this failing? And the AI finds the root cause by analyzing your dependencies. For junior developers, this is basically like having an experienced mentor available 24/7. Next up is feature number 4, Composer Mode. And honestly, this one feels like magic. The old way of coding meant manually opening 10 different files just to change a database schema, update an API, and tweak the front end. Cursor Composer handles multi-file refactoring all at the same time. You just describe an architectural change in plain English, and Composer edits 10 to 100 files at once, showing you a diff to review before you even apply it. It's an unbelievable time saver. And finally, feature number 5, Agent Mode. This is where your workflow completely shifts. Cursor can spin up to 8 parallel agents. And they don't just write code, they run terminal commands, they execute your tests, they read any linting errors that pop up, and they iteratively fix their own bugs until the feature actually works. You go from being a manual typist to an operator directing a whole team of autonomous digital developers. Let's move to section 4, Cursor versus GitHub Copilot.
the rivalry.
The battlefield between these two is pretty clearly defined at this point. Copilot relies on an extension API, so every single action it takes requires asking the host editor for permission, which creates these micro latencies. Plus, it's locked strictly into OpenAI's models. Cursor, though? It uses native runtime modification, which gives it instant memory access and shadow workspaces. And crucially, Cursor is multimodal. You can use Anthropic's Claude 3.5 Sonnet, which is widely considered the king of coding models right now, for complex architecture, and then switch over to GPT 4.0 for web tasks or Gemini 2.5 for data tasks. Copilot simply cannot offer that level of flexibility.
Let's wrap things up with Section 5, Pricing, Privacy, and Limitations, the reality check.
Okay, let's talk numbers. GitHub Copilot sets you back a clean $10 a month. Cursor Pro is $20 and Business is $40 per seat. But here's the context you really need. That $20 Pro plan essentially gives you an API allowance to frontier models like Claude 3.5 Sonnet and GPT 4.0. If you went out and bought those subscriptions directly from Anthropic or OpenAI, you'd be spending $20 anyway. So with Cursor, you're buying model access and you're getting an enterprise-grade IDE thrown in for free.
Then there's the privacy side of things. Cursor has massive traction. Like about 50% of the Fortune 500 are using it. But what about the other half? Well, Cursor transmits code to cloud AI services. While it does have a strict privacy mode to prevent training on your code, it doesn't currently offer self-hosted, on-premises options. If you work in defense, healthcare, or strict finance, that is a hard block. Microsoft's Copilot, with its massive legal indemnification umbrella, still often wins the corporate compliance battle that.
We also really need to talk about vendor lock-in. Because yeah, to use all these brilliant features, you have to use their specific Electron-based fork of VS Code. If you are a diehard JetBrains IntelliJ user, a NeoVim enthusiast, or a Visual Studio C++ developer, you have to completely abandon your native, customized environments. It's kind of like a golden cage, right? Beautiful and high-tech on the inside, but you are absolutely locked into their ecosystem. So what is the big takeaway from all of this? Cursor AI represents a fundamental shift. We're moving from writing syntax line by line to orchestrating entire systems through intent and supervision. It drastically reduces boilerplate and context switching, letting you focus on the actual business logic. Which leaves us with a pretty provocative question. If an AI can write the code, read the errors, and deploy the fixes, is manual coding destined to become a legacy skill? Are you ready to adapt to this AI-native paradigm? Or will you risk being left behind, relying on manual keystrokes? Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer. I really hope this helps you navigate the future of your development workflow.